Hi again. John Karel von Baalen on Bahaism, page 153. This is our third video on the subject here. Von Baalen is giving his Christian appraisal of the movement. He says, "It is evident that a movement which so strongly stresses the unity of all religious forces in the world should be somewhat vague in general. There are not many points of Christian doctrine upon which the cult teaches. It rather ignores them, one and all. Perhaps it is exactly here that we should start. First, it should be clear that Bahaism has some very fine points from the Christian standpoint, make it all the more dangerous as a religion. The last three words are underscored with a purpose. Who would not praise it in the Baha'is when they advocate world peace? Who has not grasped by this time the terribleness of a universal war fought with modern means of wholesale destruction and in the interest of international investments of large capital? Who does not realize that modern warfare comes as close to hell as anything on earth can come? Or who does not realize that it is more than a noble gesture for a white man from the South, conceivably, to lay a sick Negro child in the bed next to his own in the same ward and tend to both with equal tenderness? For all that, there are great gifts of what Calvin called God's common grace. But all such nobility of character does not atone for sin. It is not religion. Least of all is it a religion superior to Christianity. Second, with its plainly implied pantheism, Bahaism is one more example of what Dr. Abraham Kuyper called many years ago, quote, the irresistible tendency of our age to change along every line the God-man into the man-God, unquote. As pantheism, Bahaism stands condemned from the standpoint of Christianity. Not man's reaching up to ever higher manifestations of the divine, but the transcendent God descending to man in divine revelation is the way out of human ills. Third, Bahaism has much in common with Theosophy. Both emphasize the idea that one more divine spokesman must add to Jesus' words. But whereas Theosophists are looking for this man to appear since Krishnamurti stepped down from the throne that was Christ's, Baha'is assert that this man has appeared in Baha'u'llah. With Theosophists, the Baha'is also agree that all religions are one. Remember Annie Besant's words, quote, blended together they give the whiteness of truth. Blended together they give a mighty chord of perfection, unquote. This is due, of course, to their common pantheism. Fourth, Bahaism has much in common with Spiritism and Freemasonry. Of Spiritism, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote, to me, it is religion, the very essence of it. He called it the great unifying force, the one probable thing connected with every religion, Christian or non-Christian, forming the common solid basis upon which each raises, if it must needs raise, that separate system which appeals to the varied types of mind, unquote. How greatly like Bahaism that sounds. The discussion of Freemasonry in a separate chapter has been omitted from this volume. It has been inserted in another work called Our Birthright and the Mess of Meat. I haven't access to that book, but I'll look it up. The writer realizes that Freemasonry is not a cult like the other isms here discussed. To a great many Freemasons, the lodge is this badge of sociability, mutual helpfulness. They laugh at the idea that the Masonic Lodge or the Independent Order of Oddfellows should be considered a competitor, let alone a substitute, for the Christian religion. Nevertheless, many leaders of the Masonic movement, the officially recommended literature of the movement, its signs and emblems, which are all borrowed from Oriental pagan religions, all these and other things show Freemasonry to be such that Dr. Torrey was right in saying, quote, a man can be a Christian and a Freemason, but he cannot be an intelligent Christian and an intelligent Mason at the same time. Without wanting to give offense, therefore, to Christian Masons, we would ask of them to study such works as, and then he gives you a list of the books, including some by Masons themselves. And he asks Freemasons to consider why there is a co-Masonic order in the Theosophical Society. We would ask why the assertion that all religions are one should be tolerated in Freemasonry, but condemned in Theosophy and Baha'ism. Said Baha'u'llah in his last will and testament, quote, "O ye people of the world, the religion of God is for the sake of love and union. Make it not the cause of enmity and conflict. The hope is cherished that the people of Baha shall ever turn to the blessed word. Lo, all are of God." Said the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree of Freemasonry, Southern Jurisdiction, in 1874, quote, "Freemasonry is a worship, but one in which all civilized men can unite, for it does not undertake to explain or dogmatically to settle those great mysteries that are above the feeble comprehension of our human intellect." That's from one of the most famous Freemason books, Morals and Dogma. And Mackey wrote, quote, "If Freemasonry were simply a Christian institution, the Jew and the Muslim, the Brahmin and the Buddhist could not conscientiously partake of its illumination. But its universality is its boast. In its language, citizens of every nation may converse. At its altar, men of all religions may kneel. To its creed, disciples of every faith may subscribe." That's from an encyclopedia of Freemasonry and its kindred sciences, one of their official publications. Now, a fifth point. Whereas Baha'is claim for their religion a later emphasis upon the same truth taught also, among others, by Christianity, we maintain that it is, at least in its manifestation in Christian lands, a sad imitation of the Christian religion. Baha'u'llah, as final manifestation of God in the flesh, we believe to be an imitation of the Incarnation, as seen in Jesus Christ. Baha'i inspired tablets we consider fake scriptures. Their spiritual baptism, Holy Land, Beatitudes, Unity Feast, instead of the Lord's Supper, their imitation Pentecost, a surprising peace is said to fill the souls of those who repeat 95 times daily the words Allah, Hu, Abba. These would be Christian touches, apparently calculated to catch Christians, do not increase our respect for Baha'ism. Editorially, the Christian Century of September 25, 1946, informs us that the Baha'is have decided to begin to advertise their cause in a twofold manner. For the rank and file, through Newsweek and similar periodicals, while others will be reached through trade journals of the publishing and broadcasting industries. This is interesting, first, because we are now prepared to look for a more open method of propaganda by this cult that teaches the unity of any and all religions. Secondly, however, we get an interesting glimpse of the mentality of modernism when we see the, at that time, editor of this prominent journal of religion go so far in his vehement antagonism against denominationalism as to write, quote, "The plan is all right. The Baha'is have something to sell." It is interesting and may be helpfully suggestive to other religious bodies to see how this worthy group, which had its origins among the Mohammedans of Persia about a century ago, makes use of the most modern techniques for making friends and influencing people. Next time he deals with Baha'ism and scripture doctrine more specifically. This time I'll put in a link to one of 3 videos we did on entitled Slaves of Men, 5 Characteristics of Cultic Groups. Also a link to our Cults and Propaganda playlist, which embraces critiques of many faiths, including, of course, the big 3 cults, as Walter Martin might have thought of them, or Hokema might have thought of them: Seventh-day Adventism, Mormonism, Christian Science, and Jehovah's Witnesses. See you next time.